Okay, you can start your meeting now.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will go ahead and call to order the Special Committee on Reducing Red Tape on Monday, January 13th, 2025. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Spencer. Vice Chair Oldenburg. Alderman Ryan.
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Here.
Alderwoman Keys.
Here.
Alderwoman Saulnier. Sheriff Velazquez.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer. Vice Chair Oldenburg. Alderwoman Saulnier. We have 4 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will now entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes for the meeting on Monday, September 30th, 2024.
So move.
Second.
So
Madam-
who moved? Alderwoman Keys?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you please call the
Alderwoman Spencer. Vice Chair Oldenburg. Alderman Ryan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Saulnier. Sheriff Velazquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Vice Chair Oldenburg. Alderwoman Saulnier. We have 4 aye votes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. One note, can we just pause for a second? I don't think the YouTube link is working for folks at home. STL TV, can we just double check on that?
The YouTube link you said?
Yes, it sounds like the YouTube link isn't working.
Okay, let me take a look at it.
All right. YouTube link is working for folks at home?
It's working.
It's
STL
working?
TV, can we just double check on that?
The YouTube link you said?
Yes, it sounds like someone said it
I
was
just-
working.
I
I'm
just
not.
tried it.
It is working?
I
Yes.
see it working on my end.
Okay. Okay, it's up now. Obviously, I'm not watching it because that would be weird. All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, board bills up for review. Today we will be reviewing Board Bill 107. Madam Clerk, can you please read the bill summary?
Board Bill 107, introduced by Alderwoman Daniela Velazquez, an ordinance amending section 11.42.040 of chapter 11.42 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis to allow cottage foods to be sold outside of an individual's home.
Great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have an amendment for this bill, but actually, since I have Vice Chair Oldenburg is not here today, can I, and this is my bill, can I ask Alder Lady Clark Hubbard or Alderman Narayan to act as a vice chair and chair the meeting while I present?
Sure. I can take over while you're presenting.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Narayan. Great. So I'm gonna hop up to the podium over here and present. So first I want to
Alderman, please proceed.
thank you, Alderman. So I would like to first make a motion to adopt the amendment that we have in our drive, and I'm just pulling it up. I have it, but I want to make sure it's in the board bills. It will be in your board bills drive, and it is hopefully, yes. Amendment 1 to Board Bill 107. Madam Clerk, can you please read the amendment?
Amendment 1 to Board Bill number 107, sponsored by Alderwoman Daniela Velazquez, to amend said Board Bill, page 2, line 2, as follows. Beginning on page 2, line 2, after the word selling only directly to customers, insert the following words and figures. A cottage food production operation shall not sell any foods through the internet unless both the cottage food production operation, and the purchaser are located in the state of Missouri as required by Missouri law. Further, all cottage food for sale to consumers shall include a label that includes the name and address of the cottage food production operation and a statement that the food is not inspected by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services or the City of St. Louis Department of Health.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Obviously, I will explain a little bit more why we added that and what that means once I get into presenting the bill. But for now, I move to adopt amendment number 1 to Board Bill 107.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 6th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 10th, that we adopt amendment number 1. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Spencer. Vice Chair Oldenburg. Alderman Ryan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys.
Aye.
Alderwoman Saunier. Chair Velazquez.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. Vice Chair Oldenburg. Alderwoman Saunier. We have 4 aye votes.
Great. Thank you, committee, and thank you, presiding chair. So I'm going to share my screen, but I just want to start off by saying this cottage foods bill, Board Bill 107, is it addresses cottage foods. That is a technical, more fancy way of saying it's really talking about particular non-temperature controlled homemade foods. And this is really almost a cleanup bill. It's aligning the city's code to state statute. And with that, I'm going to share a presentation with you all. As I open it over here. You know, I seem to love doing presentations. Here we go. All right, can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right, so as I said, homemade cottage foods. Cottage foods essentially just means, actually, let me do this real quick. Just enter full screen this manually. So homemade foods, cottage foods essentially means some particular homemade foods. And really what Board Bill 107 does is really just, what we're really doing is trying to make it easier for entrepreneurs to create or to do their home-based businesses without the city getting in the way or government getting in the way of them doing their business. Particularly if you think about a lot of times with entrepreneurs who may be selling cookies out of their home or jams or jellies. A lot of times these are women, a lot of times these are women of color. So these are the kinds of business owners that we really want to support in the city. So this is the fancy, well, some of the fancy text, but Board Bill 107 is aligning us with this state statute 196.28, which is updating, which the state updated in 2022 to basically allow cottage food producers, people who make these particular homemade foods at home, to sell them direct to consumers. So they don't just, instead of being able to just buy them from their homes, they can sell them at farmers markets, roadside stands, and community events. So right now, the way our law is written, it just allows us to sell them, to just only sell it from their homes. And state laws are even updated to allow people to sell them direct to consumer in other ways. So in Missouri, cottage foods are defined as foods that are made in the home, potentially not hazardous, meaning they don't need time or temperature control. So these examples include cookies, jams, vinegar, dried herbs. So we're not talking, you know, a homemade dinner done or, you know, anything like that. We're talking things that are typically won't expire, things like that. That people can sell, which again, we a lot of times see at farmers markets, or, you know, we pick up from people that we may know who might be selling that at a community event. And so what today's amendment did, I did want to point out in particular that we did talk with the Department of Health and they looked over our bill. We didn't receive some feedback from them as well as the mayor's office. Somebody from the Department of Health was not available to testify today, but they know this bill is happening. They've read it. They suggested the amendments that you have that we adopted. So as far as they're concerned, I mean, it meets the standards that they operate in. But today's amendment was just really codifying what's already in state law, that a couple things, that cottage food producers can only sell their products online if they and the buyer are in Missouri. That's already in state law, as well as that the label must contain the producer's name, address, and a notice saying that the food is not inspected by the Missouri Department of Health, nor the St. Louis Department of Health. That again is state law, but we want to include it in the ordinance that we have. And then just one thing to point out that is already happening is that if a producer voluntarily takes a food safety program, a class, the St. Louis Department of Health will waive their permit fee. And this also allows them to have a register of cottage food producers, which is helpful in case there is some kind of foodborne illness that they have a list. But again, it's kind of a win-win for everybody because producers don't have to pay the permit. There's a registry and whatnot, but that's already happening. But we wanted to point it out. And again, just let you all know that the Department of Health is aware of this bill. They've looked at it and they gave us some suggestions that we've incorporated. And so just a couple of just general updates. I just mentioned, of course, even though these are foods that are generally not temperature controlled, we know that anything can always happen. So the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services still has the authority to investigate a complaint related to a homemade product and the authority to stop that product if there would be a complaint of a foodborne illness related to a homemade product. So the state can still step in and do that. And then a question that folks might have that I just want to address, does federal law regulate the sale of homemade foods? No, generally they don't. The only time they may regulate it is if food producers sell across state lines, and generally even then the seller only has to comply with very basic federal requirements. So this is really a local and state issue. And again, this bill is really just, it's almost cleanup to make sure that our code aligns with state code and that we're doing, everything we can in the city to support entrepreneurs who are just trying to make a living or trying to make a few extra bucks with the goods that they have in their kitchen. So I will pause for questions, as is this usual part, but I think I also do have some people who are planning on testifying. So committee, it just depends on if you want to hear public or some testimony before I answer questions, or how you all would like to proceed.
Well, I will just open it up. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, do you have any questions at this point?
No questions at this time. Looking forward to hearing from the speakers.
All right. And Alderwoman Keys, any questions at this point?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. I don't have any questions at this point. So yeah, we can move forward to any speakers.
Okay, I'm moving over Ellen Hamlet.
And I think I'll just say for the folks watching, if you want to testify, just virtually raise your hand and the clerk will move you over to a panelist so you can testify.
All right, Miss Hamlet, I can see you on video now. You are on mute though, but if you could raise your hand, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
Yes.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hi, all. I just wanted to check really quickly. Is my audio okay?
We can hear you.
Awesome. So thank you, Chair Velasquez and the members of the committee here today for the opportunity to speak in support of Board Bill number 107, The cottage food industry empowers individuals to produce and sell homemade foods, fostering entrepreneurship and economic growth within communities, and providing consumers with ethnically rich and local food options. By allowing the sale of items made in home kitchens, these laws lower entry to barriers for small-scale food producers, enabling them to test products and build consumer bases without the significant overhead of commercial facilities. So, as was discussed in the PowerPoint earlier, in Missouri, cottage foods are defined as foods that are made in the home and are not potentially hazardous. So that means they don't need to be refrigerated. That's really what it comes down to. It's shelf stable. They don't need to be refrigerated. So currently, St. Louis only allows those cottage food producers to sell their goods from their residence, which is contrary to the state law, but it's also atypical in considering cottage food laws across the nation. So it's a real outlier. It is more restrictive than the revised statute of Missouri. So this resolution, this bill will bring St. Louis law into line with Missouri state law. So by expanding the allowed sales venues to other direct-to-consumer venues, St. Louis will promote flexible entrepreneurship. And as Chair Velasquez mentioned earlier, this is particularly important for those that are traditionally underserved, such as women and minorities. In fact, our research finds that cottage food producers typically are women with below average incomes who start cottage food businesses to supplement their incomes. So in a lot of times, the incomes from these cottage food businesses, they're going to things like affording insurance, affording a cell phone bill, affording their groceries. And of course, some producers take these businesses and they launch them into full-scale businesses, right? And that's great, but sometimes it really can come down to like, can I afford my phone bill? So selling homemade foods helps small-scale businesses succeed, including young and emerging businesses, giving them an additional source of revenue and a means to get started affordably from the safety of their homes. So this is especially important for women with children, people with mobility issues, disabled veterans, right? We see kind of the whole kit and caboodle of reasons why people want to be able to earn a living from their home. And additionally, this change increases access to specialty made goods, including gluten-free, halal, kosher, keto, et cetera, and promotes resiliency in the local food supply chain. So this is a small change that will have a large impact. It is a very popular issue, and I know the committee has received grassroots support emails from cottage food producers in St. Louis today. So all in all, like I said, small change that will make a very big impact on entrepreneurship and the economy. So thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak today and support. I should say I didn't introduce myself. My name is Ellen Hamlet, and I am with the Institute for Justice. We are a national nonprofit law firm, and we work on this cottage food industry in the courts and in the legislatures. Thank you.
So much. All right. Do we have any other speakers here today?
No more speakers. That was it.
Okay. Well then, Alderwoman Velasquez, I guess I'll go back to the committee and see if anyone has any questions for you now after we've heard from the public. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, any questions?
No, no additional questions. Thank you for that information, all that background data. That was very informative. I appreciate it.
Alderwoman Keys, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I see Alderwoman Saunier on. Alderwoman Saunier, do you have any questions? All right, we'll circle back to her. I do have just a couple. Oh, here she is. Do you have any
Sorry,
questions?
no, I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman, so is the definition here, one of the things that the speaker mentioned was that these can't be they don't need to be refrigerated. So that's kind of where we're drawing the line.
Yes, well, cottage foods have, I'm actually looking at the bill right now. Cottage foods have a specific, they have a specific state definition.
Okay.
So it's anything that is not, I don't think that, I'm gonna just look at the pull up the definition from the state of Missouri. I don't think the definition is anything it's not refrigerated, but anything that's not temperature, specifically temperature controlled. So what we've heard is, I have baked goods, canned jams and jellies and dried herbs. That's even what the Department of Health says.
But I couldn't
Very-
just do like a plate of food or something.
Right. Even I'm looking at a PDF from the Department of Health and Senior Services, and it says, baked goods, canned jams or jellies and dried herbs and dried herb mixes are the only items that can be prepared out of the individual's home. So this is not just homemade. I put homemade foods in the title because it's easier. Honestly, when I hear cottage foods, I think of cottage cheese, and cottage cheese is not a cottage food. But cottage food itself has a very specific legal definition, and that is, which does not include cottage cheese or anything but those things I just described.
Okay, that really answers my question. I was just trying to figure out what the whole scope of this would be, if I could, do barbecue out of my backyard, or if it was
No, the vinegar, I guess, if you use a jam or jelly in your barbecue marinade, maybe a dried herb mix. If you do a dry rub, no.
yeah,
Although
yeah.
it's like, I'm not gonna go over to your house or barbecue if you do any of that.
Could do a dry rub. Okay. No, that answers my questions. So at this point, I'll recognize you to close.
Thank you. Well, with that, committee, I asked your favorable committee, let me try that again. I asked for your favorable consideration on Board Bill 107 and asked for a do pass recommendation today.
107 is amended.
Oh, 107 as amended. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just thinking about barbecue.
Well, is there a motion?
I would like to first be asked to be added as a co-sponsor, and then I make the motion. So move.
So noted.
Second.
I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor, please, Madam
So
Clerk.
noted.
And can we just go ahead and embank?
Yeah, let's just in-bank it then. I'll entertain a motion to in-bank this bill.
I move that we embank this bill for cottage foods.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? All right, with that, it's in bank, and there's been a motion to pass board bill number, was it 107?
As
107.
amended.
107 as amended, out of committee with a do pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
So who seconded that motion?
I believe Alderwoman Keys seconded the motion.
Alderwoman Spencer? Vice Chair Oldenburg? Alderman Ryan?
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard?
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys?
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye? Chair Velazquez?
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer? Vice Chair Oldenburg? Alderwoman Sanye? I have 4 aye votes.
All right, with that, we've sustained the motion, and you've passed board bill number 107 as amended out of committee with a do pass recommendation. And with that, I will pass the imaginary gavel back over to you.
Got it. Thank you, Alderman. With that, we will move through the rest of our agenda today. Madam Clerk, resolutions to review.
We have none.
We obviously, that was our committee discussion. Acknowledgement of any written testimony today, Madam Clerk?
We have 1 written testimony in support of,
Today, Madam.
we have 1 written testimony in support.
Great, thank you. Announcements? Is there anybody, any alderman, anybody on the committee with any announcements today? Alder lady from the 10th?
I will make a quick announcement since we have time. Happy birthday, Alderman Balmer.
Oh, happy birthday, Alderman Vollmer, wherever he is.
I went
Hopefully,
with the duck.
He's at Milo's. We know where
He's
he is.
at Milo's.
Yeah.
I think he definitely is having a good time at Milo's. Happy birthday, Alderman Balmer.
I won't sing. All right.
Motion to excuse.
Would anybody like to make a motion to excuse our absent alderman today?
I'll move that we excuse Alderwoman Spencer and Alderman Oldenburg. I don't have the list in front of me. Is that all?
Yes,
it.
that's it.
For necessary absence.
Second.
Wonderful. With that, that's a wrap for today, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Bye.